Okay, so hello and welcome to this Gauntlet Hangout game of Lovecraftesque. It's this pretty book right here. We have actually there's two players I haven't played with here before, so welcome to you, Alun and Paul. And we have a regular suspect here, Sabine, who I've played with a number of times. I think actually even we have played Lovecraftesque together before. You were in the last game too, weren't you?
Yeah, I think so. Was that the one with Paul from London?
Yeah, we have another British Paul now, so let's
okay.
big shoes to fill.
Okay.
There's more than one British Paul. No.
Yes. Yeah. Lovecraftesque is a game that tries to well, it's about Cthulhu mythos or the kind of like personal horror that Cthulhu mythos is about. For me, I had this relationship with Cthulhu games before I started playing indie games that playing the Call of Cthulhu games that mostly ended up with blowing Cthulhu up instead of being horrified of it. So this game is definitely more about like the journey of this one person that we'll be playing together, discovering something like very scary and then being very powerless against it. So it's not going to be like a happy ending, probably. There is definitely some room for us to wiggle in here, but like that's the tone of the game. It's about like the descension into something that's very supernatural and difficult to explain, but also it's not like going to be a lot of like violence or a lot of extremely weird things right away. It's going to be like a lot of small strange things and in the end we'll have this big reveal. I'll get into how that works. It's actually built into the game. So yeah, and I'm going to start doing the explanation. Are you all in the character keeper?
Yeah.
No.
Let's see if I can find a link in the Hangout. Just hold on, I'm just going to post it here too. So, yeah, as I said, we will all play one character for this game, which is the Witness. And how this game works is that instead of playing different characters, we'll be playing kind of different. We'll have different responsibilities in terms of storytelling in each scene. So there is one person who will be playing the Witness. There's one person who will be. Wait a second. I had it. Yeah, one person who will be playing the narrator, which is pretty much like the kind of the GM in a way. It's like describing what happens and setting the scene and stuff like that. And then the rest will be playing the Watchers, which are a support role that can describe, elaborate on things that the narrator says. The game consists of hopefully you'll be able to also see like I took a picture of the roles and put it in the doc, so hopefully you should be able to see it there as well. To the right, there's some there is going to be 3 acts in the game. You'll be able to see them in the scene tracker, which is another sheet down there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Yeah.
Yeah. There will be 3 acts. Yeah. There is going to be 5 scenes in the first act. In the second act is going to be up to 3 scenes. I'll explain how it could go differently when we get to it. And then for the last part, it's like the descent, the journey into darkness, like the big change, and then going to the place, or that could be a literal place or take it to the place, but where the big reveal is, and then we'll see the final horror and have an epilogue. I'll explain a bit as we go with what happens in the different acts. But for the first act, what we're going to do is to for each scene, we're going to reveal a clue. So pretty much what we'll do is to set a scene, have the investigator, who's the person responsible for putting the clue in the scene, and explaining what's going on, and having the witness then explain what they do, how they react, what they think and feel, and then having the watchers elaborate on things that the narrator says. So, and a good trick for doing that online is to actually just for the narrator to remember that and maybe ask the watchers to contribute something, because it's a little difficult to just get into things online, speaking over each other. Yes. And what we'll do after each scene, this is something you'll do on in your own document or sheet or whatever, is to lead to conclusion. So pretty much how we bring it all together is that after each scene we will think about the clue and make like a guess what or who or what is responsible for the weirdness that we have seen, what they are actually doing. And if we want to, we can also say something about what is going to happen if they're left to do what they want. We don't share this with the other players, but what we do is that we use our speculations for inspiration for building clues in the scenes where we are the narrator. And this way, we hopefully should be able to build like a fairly consistent narrative that will end in the big reveal. Is there any questions about that? I'll say trust the mechanics. Probably is a good guess here. Like the first time I played it, it went very well. I've heard about other things where it might turn out a little weird, but I'm sure we'll be able to do it. Yeah. So before we start, we will establish a little bit about what we're playing. So pretty much like when is the time period, where is our story taking place, and some locations, and then we'll also establish who the witness is. So is there anyone who has any ideas for for example, like a time period for when this could be happening? Any wants?
I think I prefer a time when the mobile phone is not ubiquitous.
Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah,
I would have liked an ultra-modern one where phones are ubiquitous, but that can actually lead into horror, you know, if you're always online, if you're always connected. But I'm totally willing to go without it.
Yeah, I'm happy with both. Like the classic Cthulhu fiction is like the 20s.
Yeah.
I don't have any like particular. Like I'm up for pretty much anything. I could.
Well, could we split the difference? If we went for a decade ago, when mobile technology is out there, the internet exists, but it's not quite as ubiquitous. Would that get you the best of all worlds?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, like the 90s when we had box phones. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, AOL thingies and modems that made funny noises.
It's a lot of Cthulhu potential just in the modern phones.
Indeed.
Cool. So let's say the 90s. You have any ideas for where this story could be, Paul?
I was thinking the Norfolk coast of the UK, quite a barren and desolate place, very flat, right on the coast of the North Sea. So yeah, most people can sort of see the North Sea.
Funny thing, also last time we played it was also on the coast of the North Sea.
Yeah, but the North Sea is always great.
Yeah,
so.
I'm happy to go with that strategy. Yeah, sure. So like northern Scotland or something like that.
Yeah, we can do northern Scotland. Yeah, that's fine.
So the nearest city would be somewhere like Aberdeen, somewhere, because Aberdeen would be thriving in the 90s, wouldn't it, with the oil industry?
Oil, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I kind of like that actually.
We could set it on. We could set it on an oil rig, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Like make it maybe like it's not like in the city, but maybe like a wharf or something outside where they do work on oil rigs and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an idea.
Mm. Yeah, I like it.
Like they live in these like very people don't live there. They just like come there for work and live in these like boxes and
containers.
Yeah, and
Cool.
build things. Do we have a name for the place?
So we're talking near Aberdeen. I'm just trying to find Aberdeen. Okay, yeah, that's not that far north. You can go further north. How about Peterhead? That's just north of Aberdeen.
Cool. Peterhead. I like that.
Yeah, Peterhead.
Yeah.
You always start wondering who was Peter and what happened to his head.
To his head.
Well, we'll find out in Act 3.
Ooh, I like that.
I the next thing we'll do is that we'll come up with a location each, like a more specific location. Pretty much what they'll do is to give us some ideas for when we're setting scenes. And I have an immediate idea of a little creepy place. I think it's like we talked about working on an oil rig, and I think like there is this like you can go like down into like the feet of the rig to do work like welding and stuff. And I think that's a thing. Like it's like a elevator down there, like one of these with the metal bars around to go down into the foot of the rig.
Would that be underwater?
It would be when you put the if you will go all the way down, and especially like if you go, because when you go into the sea, it's definitely going to be
cool.
Underwater.
Cool. Nice.
What am I gonna call that? A platform.
How narrow and specific do you want the location to be, Rico? I'm thinking the local hospital, and specifically the operating suite of the hospital. Now, the hospital will work, but how narrow do you want it placed?
No, the hospital is fine. We can. I think having something that's a little broad is cool. Not only having the feet of the platform kind of thing where I did, but I was just like had this picture in my mind so specifically. But sure, let's. I mean, we can. What's the hospital's name? Do you have an idea for that?
because British hospitals are always named for the locality or royalty, this is the Princess Margaret Hospital, Peterhead.
Nice.
How big is it?
It's small, so it probably has beds for tens of people rather than hundreds of people. And it has a staff, some of whom are dedicated to the hospital, others are general practitioners in the villages around about Peterhead who come to do shifts in the hospital.
Yeah, and I'm sure there wouldn't be a hospital there if it wasn't for the wharf, because I mean...
Indeed. Indeed.
Oh, I've got something. There's a lighthouse, I'm saying.
Of course there is.
It always should be a lighthouse. And there is maybe an old lighthouse keeper even, but they haven't been seen for a while. The lighthouse, it isn't used anymore because there's radar and sonar and everything. So it's a disused lighthouse. On the Scottish coast. Yeah, great.
Do you have a name?
Well, what kind of name would a British lighthouse have? I have no idea.
Peter's Rock, maybe?
Peter's Rock, I like that. Yeah. Or Peter's Candle, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like called the Candle or something.
Yeah.
Or is it? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice. Why is it called the Candle?
Because it's a lighthouse. There's a light on top, like in a candle.
Is it also white?
And there's always been. What if we call the rocks that it's guiding ships away from? We call them the candles.
Oh,
and they're
okay.
called the candles because there have always been, as far as anyone can remember, back to Anglo-Saxon times, there have been people who've lit lights on those, either to draw ships in or to steer them away.
Yeah, I
so
like
the candle name goes back a long way.
Cool. Yeah, but the modern lighthouse that was maybe put up there at the beginning of the 20th century, and it's white. Yeah, it's dirty white because it's not really maintained anymore, and there are a lot of seagulls.
Yep. Get the reference. Yep.
Do you have a location, Paul?
Yeah, I'm thinking a warehouse at the end of the wharf that's used to load things onto boats going out to rigs. So quite a busy warehouse. Now, if the oil industry is in decline, it can easily be empty or disused. But if the oil industry is doing well, it sees a lot of action.
What do we want it to be? Busy or?
Maybe it's during winter when they're not really working so much on the rig because of the seas are really harsh in winter. So there is busy. So there's some kind of busy, but it's usually more busy in the spring or the summer, during the summer.
Yeah, so probably busy during the day, but the warehouse, it's not that busy that it needs 24-hour sort of action.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra space during this time right now.
Yeah.
And maybe the workers
So
store their stuff in there, some of them, because there are these containers they live in, they're really small and cramped, and maybe some of them have started to store their stuff in there, so it's pretty cluttered.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably a little chaotic. There's not a lot of people who know where everything is. There's probably this one person who has any idea where everything is. Yeah, cool. That's good locations. The next thing we'll do is to make our witness, which is the character we'll be playing during the game. If they will be coming up with a name, why they are here, one personality trait, so that we'll have some anchor to when we're sharing the character, and then also a source of strength, which could be also a personality trait, but also could be something external. For example, like their family, or I don't know, their love for the country, or I don't know, could be a lot of things. Do we have an idea for who this person might be?
I'm thinking maybe some environmentalist who's looking for oil leaks or something like that. Might be an idea.
Yeah. How would they be on the rig? Because we've got the platform.
Yeah, maybe they're undercover.
Yeah.
Trying to discover what dastardly things are going on because they want to expose everyone.
So
they're a reporter or something.
Well, Greenpeace activist.
Yeah. Maybe they have a boat and can travel to the rig illegally.
Oh, right. So not working undercover on the rig.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out ideas. Yeah.
I quite like the idea of them having a secret life, I have to say. The idea that they are one thing and the other. So I quite like the idea of them working undercover on the rig.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what capacity.
I mean, during these days, I think it was very easy to get a job in the oil business. Like if you could do like a profession, welded before, even if you were a car mechanic, you would get the job there. They were so, yeah. At least it was like this in Norway. So
a physical job rather than administrative.
If they have access to the rig, probably.
Yeah, I think a welder. Something like that. He can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess it's a he.
Is it he or is it she?
I guess it's a he. Welder undercover on an oil rig. That's more likely a he.
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Of course, there was Footloose. What was that, Footloose with the female welder? I don't remember.
Yes, she
right.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Do they have a name?
Peter?
Oh, yes, because we've got lots of Peter stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun throwback. Oh, yeah, you're Peter, really?
Yeah, well, it's a common name, isn't it?
Peter from Petershead.
Yeah, maybe he's not.
Though, is he local or isn't he? I don't think he is.
No,
I don't think he is. No.
He's an Englishman. That's in Scotland. Yeah.
Well,
Peter.
Let's call him Peter English.
Peter English.
I was just about to call him Peter Scott.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Why not? I'm just gonna call him that. It's not so.
Yeah. Peter Scott is great.
So they are there because they're undercover and environmentalists. They want to expose oil spills or like bad. What exactly are they?
Environmental damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do we have a personality trait for Peter?
Idealistic, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That could also be like a source of strength, though. We found to have something that's a little like.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you could definitely use it. I was just like looking for, maybe it's nice to have something that's not in line with the persona we already created. So if we put I'm gonna put idealistic on their source of strength.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone has any idea for a trait?
what if he has a touch of PTSD because he was in the Falklands War?
Ooh.
Let's make him nervous.
Okay.
Jumpy or something, because I am a little hesitant to put diagnosis on things in a Cthulhu game. But nervous is good. Jumpy. Nervous / jumpy. That's also very much more easier to play, I think. Cool. Then I think we have our setting and our witness. So pretty much how what we're going to do now is to do a scene. Before we start, is there anyone who doesn't understand how the scenes work?
I've got a question. Stop. Go ahead. Alan, go ahead.
Because I've not played the game, I prefer not to set a scene to begin with.
Yeah. So how
placed as a watcher.
Yeah, sure. How it is meant to go is that the first one who has an idea is going to be the narrator, and then there's I put like a table order on the
oh yes,
and the one to my this is always the bad thing about doing a table orders in like that. The one who is to my left, I'm going to say that that is okay. I'm just going to find the one to my left is going to be the witness, I think. Then the one and the rest is going to one to my right is going to, the rest is going to be watchers. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I'm just going to double check that. I always mix up the. And yeah, and I will have an idea if nobody wants to do the narration part first.
Can I ask my question before we start?
Sure. Yeah.
Because I seem to remember from playing this before that in the first round you're not supposed to have any direct violence or discover a corpse or anything like that.
If you look at the rules are actually in the character.
I see. Okay.
The creeping
cool.
horror. So yeah, that's good that you brought it up. Nothing can be narrated that cannot be explained rationally in the first act. They may strain reason, especially if you look at them combined, but they should not be overly supernatural. A part of also the witness role is to try to like rationalize the things that are going on to a certain degree. As you can just narrate the inner monologue of the witness as we're just playing the one character. It's about like the personal horror, so that's a thing you can do when you're playing the witness. Also, no, there's no violence against humans except with there's some special cards. I should also explain that, I guess, before we start. We should have no first-hand accounts of blatantly supernatural things. And violence against humans should just be oblique and taken from sources which is not entirely reliable or could be doubtful in that way at least. And there's going to be no attacks on the witness, including theft, sabotage, or destruction of property.
Yep.
So those are the rules for the investigation scenes. As for the cards, that's always a little tricky to do in online. So what I'm going to do, if you look, I posted a link to the book.
Yeah.
In the Lovecraftesque thing there, and I'm just gonna. I'm not a believer of keeping things very secret anyway, so I'm just gonna give you each a card.
Cool.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna do some randomness here at least. Let's see.
Yeah.
I can roll a dice. First,
Cool.
let's see. 1, 2, 3. There's 8 here. And then I'm gonna roll a d8. For Sabine first, you can see the object, the art. It's on page 168, I think.
Okay. I am on page 58.
At least in my book, it is.
Okay, so I'm 63. Yeah, I got it. I got the special cards at least.
Yeah.
Which one do I get?
Object, the art.
Ah, cool.
And then for Paul, there's the. Have you also found the page, Paul?
No. Where's the book?
Okay, I can post the link as well. I posted it in the Hangout chat, but I can see here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I've got the Google Docs. Okay.
Here should be.
Yep.
It's on 167, 168, 69, and 70, I think. Let's see.
Okay, yeah.
And you have the card Eldritch Technology.
Ooh.
That seems fitting. It's on 70.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. And then for Alon, we have Anachronism, which is on 171.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool. So these are the exceptions to when you can break the rules. That is under creeping horror here. On the cards, it says when you can when it gets triggered, and you can when it is you can you can interrupt the scene, or you can make it the next scene. You just tell us when it triggers, and then you can either take over the scene explaining what's going on, or you can if you're narrating especially, or you can make it the next scene. Just tell us and we'll do it. If you can't put a clue into that scene, we will go back to the turn order, and it won't count to the scene count. But if you can put a clue in there, it's going to count. But don't think so much about the rules about that right now. Just keep in mind the trigger, and when we get to it, I'll get into what happens if we have any questions about it. Okay. But does everyone understand the trigger of the record?
Yeah.
Mikkel, I do need to know though, because mine has a basic trigger and a part 2 onwards. I can only play the card once, or can I play it in any scene and play it in part 2?
Let's see. I'm just gonna find your card real quick. Special card. No, what it means, I'm pretty sure it's there's just one trigger, but the thing can only happen from part 2 and onwards. So, and it's one of the these are the things that are from part 2 onwards is the things that can happen for your scene.
Fine, thank you.
Cool. Okay. So, are there any more questions before we do a scene? Or are we feeling brave to start
Yeah,
jumping into it?
let's jump in.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I think I have an idea for a scene. So that means that Alon, you're going to be playing the witness. I'll frame the scene where it is when it is who's there, what's going on, and what happens, and you're playing the character just as usual. The only thing that's a little different is that you're more free to speak your inner dialogue and how you react to things, how you're feeling about things. It's actually like that's at least as we get into the horror of it, it's very important to kind of like play into that. So yeah, I think you are actually at Princess Margaret Hospital. I think the reason that you're there is that you heard some rumors that there has been a lot of people from the wharf that has been. I mean, I guess you know a little bit, like, because there's people that are away from their shifts. There's been a lot of like changing around, and a lot of people have been like sick, and it's a little strange. And I mean, you've been on the platform a few times, and there seems to be like no one on your shift has been sick, and it seems strange. So you just you're there to like to investigate or to find out if there's maybe something related to like any environmental hazard or something like that. Like maybe there's some badly ventilated place that they're welding or something like that. Could be a clue to something. I think you are at the reception, and there's this woman there's in front of her like computer, and when you come in, she's like, "Oh, hi, how can I help you?"
I'm a friend of one of the people that you've admitted, and I just need to go and see he's okay. His name's Dave Griffin.
Dave, huh? I'm just give me a second. Oh, yeah, visitor hours are over, really, but yeah, he's been in surgery today.
Sorry, missed that, Michael. He's been where?
In surgery.
Oh, surgery. Oh, I hadn't realized it was that serious. Is he out of surgery yet?
Yeah. He's fine.
Well, can I go and see him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, no one has come visit him.
His wife's pregnant. She wants to know who he is, and I said I'd come and look in.
Sure. Go see him. He's in room 302.
Okay.
Just be quick and don't let the doctors see you. They're not too happy about.
Okay. I want to go and see Dave Griffin and see what. I'm surprised because people have been admitted with this sickness, and yet he's gone under the knife. So I'm just curious what they've done to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of creep down. Well, I walk briskly down the corridor, but I'm very conscious. It seems like everyone's watching me, and so I keep my eyes down, try not to make eye contact, and get to room 302.
Yeah, I mean it's in the evening, so there is not like that many people going around. There's like a doctor that rushes past you on there, but they don't really notice that you're there. Even it looks like they seem to be going to another patient, and then you're standing outside the room of 302. What do you do?
Look up and down the corridor, and then slip inside, trying to avoid being seen.
Yeah, and I think you see in the room there is this person.
Yeah, I mean he's not on my shift, but I knew he'd been brought in. I just picked his name at random. As far as I know, he's not married.
Mm. Yeah, I think when you come in, like his head slowly turns toward you, and he looks like with you with like very like empty eyes, and like, who are you?
Hey, Dave, mate, how are you? How are you doing? They said you'd been had to have an operation. What's up?
I'm not sure. I feel a little strange.
Can I? I mean, I've got no medical training, but if I look at him, you know, where have they been operating? You know, he's got a head wound. Is it one of his limbs bandaged up, or?
Yeah, I don't think you like see anything that's above the covers.
Then I think I'm reduced to just walking to the foot of the bed where they'll be hanging off the bottom of the bed one of those clipboards, and I'm just going to try to remember anything I can read off that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like he lets you do that. Like he just like follows you with his gaze, walking um, towards the end of the bed. Paul, what about this room makes it obvious that this is like a small rundown hospital?
So it's a 4-man side of a ward, but yeah, there's lots of peeling white paint. Clearly, there's not a lot of investment going into the health service here, and there's only one bed currently in use, and this is where Dave Griffin is. The other beds are not in use on this ward. Lots of peeling paint, a bit of a draft, one window open, slowly sort of waving in the wind, tapping the windowsill.
Yeah, and I think you come to the end of the bed and you see like this on the border it says abnormal tumor removal or something like that. And there's some like I mean, you don't have any medical training, so you probably wouldn't know this, but there's like no diagnostics coders, anything like that.
Well, this fits with my idea that that the pollution there's something in the oil, something in the process that is just poisoning people, and it's logical that that it should poison the workers before it poisons the environment.
And I think we'll cut the scene there. So I have revealed my clue, which is the tumor. So that's pretty much like you can, when you have, as the narrator, when you have revealed your your clue, you can cut the scene at any time. You can have the time to wrap up if you want, but like that's the point where you can't cut it.
Okay, no, that works for me. Unless Sabine, you've got anything you want to add into that scene?
No, I'm fine. Or maybe one thing that you notice, there's an IV line in Dave's arm, but he looks very pale, but the IV line is only clear liquid that's going into him, not blood or anything, but he looks very pale. And usually
Again,
you maybe expect that he would have some blood pushed into him to alleviate the blood loss he suffered during the operation. But this here, that's just salt water, actually, or something like that. It's clear.
Right. So the bag isn't labeled.
Now, maybe somebody wrote something on it, maybe, but that's just maybe that's just some chemical formula, some Na and then some O and then some Cl, which is weird because salt is Na and then Cl and there's no O in it. But maybe somebody made a mistake. Probably somebody just made a mistake.
Yeah. This is the 1990s in the NHS. Yeah, quite possible.
Cool. So what we'll do now is to take a moment to leap to conclusions. This is something you do as players and not as the character. So keep in mind that. So you can think about who or what is responsible, make a theory, and then what is the thing actually doing. And at this point, you probably have not a very clear idea of what that is, but it's just to speculate. That's the point.
I've got an absolutely clear idea. Can I just throw it at you?
No sharing.
Oh, no sharing. I beg your pardon. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the fun part afterwards, is to share what you thought at which point and see how wrong you were.
Well, I have a conclusion. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have a conclusion too. You have one, Paul?
Yeah.
Cool. So now is the next scene. That means that you, Alan, are the narrator, and then Paul is the witness. You have an idea for your scene?
Yes. I think that this is in the warehouse where the belongings of people who work here are stored. And when I got back to the I'm linking it back. I must keep it separate. So yes, it's the warehouse. There have been a number of people who left the rig, or have left the workforce in the recent past, and their belongings have been stored in the warehouse before being sent on to them. Is that enough?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can run with that.
What are you doing there?
I'm looking for some possessions of a guy that worked on the rig a guy called Terry Crick. I knew him in the Falklands, but I've spoken to his mother, but he's never arrived home. So he's missing. But I believe his stuff is still here, stored in the warehouse.
Okay, Paul. So the warehouse isn't manned except during the day. So
Yeah.
How are you going to get in?
I'm going to break in. Yeah.
Window, door.
I'm going to climb up the fire escape and go in. There's like a gangway at the top, a fire exit gangway. I'm going to go in through a window up there.
Okay. So you'll go in and you'll be on a gantry above the main body of the warehouse.
Yeah.
How dark is it?
Pretty dark. There's just some emergency exit lights.
So are you going to take the risk of moving around here in the dark, or do you have some kind of torch with you?
Yeah. I've got a standard, nothing fancy torch.
Okay. So where do you want to go? You look down and you can see lots and lots of racks with plastic drawers, presumably where possessions are kept.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lay low for a bit, let my eyes acclimatise to the dark, and then I don't think there's anybody here, so it's looking pretty clear. So I'm gonna.
You can't see anybody down there. There are no other lights.
Yeah.
There will be some people outside, perhaps.
Okay. I'm definitely going to wait a good amount of time because I'm pretty nervous. So I want a good chance that there's absolutely nobody here. So I might wait for the sounds outside to dull down. My eyes will acclimatise, and then slowly I'm going to go down various levels of this gantry. Let's say there's steel work all up one side. I'm going to slowly move down to get to the ground floor. Yeah, exactly. Okay. You've got to go across, then down, across, then down.
It's just incredible how creaky that metalwork is in the quiet of the night. Every step you take seems to creak, and the guide rail rattles every time you lean on it. And as you make your way down, you hear something. And you're not certain what it was.
I'm going to... At first, I'm going to maybe have a little bit of a flashback to maybe going down ship gangplanks that clearly, when I was in the war, I would have gone up and down ship gangplanks. So that sort of reality switches, and then I come back into focus. I'm back in the warehouse. So I'm definitely going to freeze and try and find out, did I hear it in my head, or did I hear it in the warehouse? And wait to get some feedback.
Okay. You don't hear it again, but whether you heard it in the warehouse or heard it in your head, you don't know, but you don't hear it again. And by now, you're on the ground floor.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking maybe I did just hear it in my head. I can't see anything. Maybe this was a flashback going up and down those stairs. The creakiness just took me straight back to being on that boat. But I'm on dry land now. All's good. I'll look around, and I'll definitely put my torch on now, and I'm going to go at...
Assuming you've had your torch, because you just struggle to get down those stairs without torch.
Emergency exits, I'd have thought there'd have been...
Oh, okay.
Little bit.
Okay.
But yeah.
So the light goes on.
The light goes on now.
It's so bright. So bright.
So I'll have a quick scan around with it. and try and illuminate as big an area. But it's not a great torch. It's only a pretty narrow beam. And I'm going to walk along this racking, trying to find Terry Crick's stuff.
Yeah.
You know, his gear.
And you will do. You'll find it's alphabetic, and so you find your way along to the C's.
Yeah.
And there's a big plastic drawer.
Okay.
What do you do?
The first thing, I'll just crook it over to have a quick look inside.
Clang.
Yeah.
There's a noise behind you.
Oh, I've got to turn around with that torch. I've just got to. I'm not going to let somebody sneak up on me.
The light skitters around the space. It sounded like it came from up on the gantry, but maybe you just loosened something when you made your way down in the dark. It sounded like a clang of something being dropped.
I'm pretty nervous. I'm going to quickly grab his tray and try and duck behind some larger sort of like rig parts in metal storage wooden storage boxes, probably with iron bands around them. Yeah, so I'm going to duck with his box behind one of these.
Sabine, what else is making him nervous as he hides behind here?
I think it's a smell. There's a weird smell. It's not continuous. It's like when he moves around and there's some slight sort of breeze going through the warehouse, which is not that surprising because it's not a very well-made warehouse. But sometimes you can smell something that kind of, yeah, it's kind of like that smell you have near the sea when there's a lot of algae around, something that smells earthy and some bit rotten, maybe. It's not clear because it has a sharp tang to it. You've never smelled that before.
So it's like it's definitely a smell of the sea. You know, I'm close to the sea, but this is like rotting. Yeah, either sort of like old seaweed. So it wouldn't be in the warehouse. I wouldn't think it would. Yeah. So I could smell it.
Yeah, only occasionally, and it's kind of chemical. It's got that kind of weird chemical. It's also in some part of your mind you think it's attractive. You don't know why. But it's like this is nice. No, this isn't. Why did I think that was nice?
Okay. So looking in his stores bin, what have we got in there?
Well, can I just ask before you look in, Mikkel, what does he think? Where does he think this smell is coming from?
I'm not going to say where he thinks the smell is coming from, but it seems like the smell it doesn't come, like the breeze doesn't come from the sea, like it goes the other way.
Ah, right. So it's from the landward side of the warehouse.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Paul, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So what have we got in his stores bin?
A quick inspection suggests it's all his stuff. But it's
Are we talking some clothes?
His clothes, pictures of family, a variety of personal, toiletries.
Yeah.
Basically, the contents of his locker.
Okay.
And everything that was stacked up by his bunk, and with written on the side in marker, for disposal.
Oh, okay. See, I was expecting they were going to be shipped to his mother. So yeah, this is weird.
Go on.
I think as an investigative journalist, environmentalist sort of thing, there's something going on here. This is worthy of investigation, I feel.
Unless Sabine or Mikhail have something to add to the scene, I think I'll cut it there. Okay.
Cool. That's definitely a clue. I'm gonna put for disposal in our scene tracker.
And I think the order means that Sabine, are you narrating the next one?
I think Paul is narrating the next one.
Oh, sorry.
I'm the
Yes, he
witness
is.
of the next
Sorry.
one.
Yeah. Beg your pardon. I will get the hang of this.
Okay. So
let's take a second to jump to conclusion section.
Sorry. Yes.
I also had to remind myself of that. Let's see. Already changed my theory up.
I've modified mine.
Yeah, I modified mine too a little bit. Yeah, I'm ready with my conclusions. So whenever you're ready, Paul, you can narrate your scene.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Peter now, right?
Yeah. Sabine, you are Peter.
I'm Peter.
So this is later that night. You're walking back to your accommodation, which is out of town. It's a little rented container, a little bit out of town, and you're walking along a single track road, and you're looking out to Peter's Rock and the lighthouse. You can see in the moonlight, and you can hear the crashing waves coming against the Candle Rocks. Yeah, and you hear, along with the lapping water and the crashing waves, you hear other noises coming from the sea, and you're walking along the coastal path.
Like noises from boats, or like noises from, I don't know, seals or something?
Yeah, noises from from a mammal, something. Some largish creatures.
Well, for a second there, with those crushing waves, and I almost felt like those waves were always crashing on the boat, and there are always people noises, but guess these aren't that. And I'm shaking my head like getting rid of these sounds. Like, is that real?
Yeah, you've sort of heard these sounds before. You think a few years back when you were in the army and you were on the Falkland Islands. Again, very coastal. You were close to the beach, and you sort of heard these weird sounds down there, in the South Atlantic.
Did anybody tell me what those were?
No, you were just on. You were on guard one night in the Falklands. It was just you manning a gate post, and yeah, you just heard these sort of weird sounds out in the fog of the South Atlantic, and this is the first time you're pretty sure that you've heard those sounds again.
I find that strange. Maybe I try to think of a rational explanation here, but maybe, I don't know, maybe whales? Are whales? There might be whales in the South Atlantic, so I guess it could be that. But if there are whales here, I should take a look, because this is an oil rig, and if there are whales. I'm an environmentalist, and I'm kind of partial to whales, I guess.
Yeah. Who isn't? Yeah. So what are you going to do? You're on a coastal path, probably about 20 foot above a small beach, and yeah, it's just pretty rocky to climb down there.
Maybe I'll get up to Peter's Rock to look down and see if I can see anything. What's the weather like? Is it rainy, or do I have a clear sky?
Yeah, it's just clear sky, but there's a little bit of sea fog mucking with the moon, which is over the water, which is quite low. So yeah, you plod up to Peter's Rock, and Peter's Rock is where the lighthouse is built, but you know it's disused, and there's the lightkeeper's station below the lighthouse, and yeah, as you start to approach Peter's Rock, or the lighthouse itself, you get a massive waft of this acrid sort of smell coming again from the land side. It sort of sweeps by you. You can't see it, but you can definitely smell this cloud swing by you. And then you then carry on, and probably I'd say about 2-3 minutes later, whatever sound you were hearing, it sort of erupts out at sea. Whatever it is, it's making a hell of a lot more noise about 2 or 3 minutes after this noxious, acrid smell sweeps by you and sweeps out to sea.
Like whatever it is has gotten, like the smell has gotten to whatever it is.
Yeah, but to you, it was just a sort of a rotting seaweed smell.
Yeah.
Really, it wasn't.
Yeah, but
terrible?
maybe there were chemicals in it that are exciting, that are close to some pheromones or something for those sea creatures. None of this is good news. So I'll look out to the sea and see if there is anything visible. I mean, if I can hear them make noise, then maybe I can see something.
Yeah, you definitely see. So we've said it's already quite foggy out there, but you can definitely see mammal size. So we could be talking a sea lion, something moving in the water. Quite a few of them, and they look as if they're sort of like jumping and going into the water and making this inhuman type mammal sound. Maybe they're in pain. Mikkel, what do you think? Do these creatures sound in pain?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty intense sound. I think they almost they're not like I think they're like still like long sound, so they don't it's not very like sharp. It could almost it's like either pain but almost like there's they could almost sound like sad in a way, like their cries. Could be pain, but it's a little difficult to determine.
Might also be a mating call, for all I know.
Could be.
So you continue to wander up to Peter's Rock, to the base of the lighthouse. Now, there's a small picket fence, as you'd expect around a lighthouse, but it's fallen into disarray. Alan, what can we sort of see at the lighthouse? What's going on there? Anything?
There's it's been disused. The lighthouse keeper's cottage at the base of the lighthouse. Most of the glass in the windows has been smashed, and the door is creaking in the breeze.
So, Peter, what do you do?
Well, I don't think I want to go into the lighthouse for now, because first off, it's dark in there, and I've been in the dark warehouse before, so that's not. And I'm really more curious about these animals, so I think I will just stay there and watch for a bit, maybe to see if I can see anything, if there are any other people looking at these animals or whatever they are doing out there. And if the sound stops, I will then leave. But
okay, now you spend some time studying, and you think at one stage you could see a flickering type candle out at sea near the rocks.
Oh.
So yeah, a very small light that flickers in and out of visibility, but it definitely doesn't look like a torch type light. It looks more like a primordial type fire type light. And yeah, I think that's a good place to call the scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay.
So what are we gonna call it? Sea?
So what's the clue?
Sound from the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my speculations just holds the fish every time.
I think I'm switching my view of the facts to fit my original conclusion.
I think mine still might be true.
It's like someone is hiding something.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm just changing my conclusion as well. What's easier? Cool.
Yeah.
It means that
Yeah.
Sabine will be narrating and I will be the witness.
Cool. So, this is the next day, I think. Peter, you are out at the rig, and the foreman comes up to you and says, "Hey, Scott, go down to the foot, and it seems to be some problem. Go down and see what you can do. There's some damage to the... I have no idea about what rigs are like, so bear with me, please. There's some damage there. Go and repair it." And,
I think I am still a little I feel a little anxious from yesterday. Like I woke up this morning feeling a little uneasy. And them saying that I'm going down there, it's not my favorite place to work. So I think I'm a little really? I mean, it's soon at the end of my shift.
So go work quickly.
Okay, boss. Guess
Shouldn't
I'll go
take you too long.
Yeah, I'm getting overtime. Better get overtime for this.
Yeah, if it's after the end of your shift, sure. You will get overtime for this. Just clock out whenever you're ready.
I think Peter's thinking why am I even saying this? It doesn't really matter. That's not why I'm here. And I start walking towards the elevator of the. I'm on top of the rig already, so it's not such a long walk. I walk down on the side of there's this stairwell going down, and then there's this big hole with this elevator on. And I put on my headlight and my security gear, attach it to the elevator, and then I go down with my welding equipment.
Yeah, weird feeling going down. The sea is still rather restless, which it usually is. And you're probably maybe you haven't slept that well. You're a bit anxious, as you said. But as you come down there, you see that there is a metal kind of bar or something that it belongs there. So it's something in the foot, but there is damage to it. You can see it. It looks like almost acid damage or something like that. And what you also notice about it is that above this damaged part of the foot, somebody has drawn a little graffiti on the foot. It looks a bit weird, like a sea lion or something, or a seal, but really, well, it's only a graffiti, right? So it doesn't matter. Somebody didn't probably know how a sea lion looks like or something like that. It looks almost like it's been paired with a snake because the body is rather longer and more slender than you would expect of a sea lion or a seal.
Yeah,
but it's graffiti.
I think I look at it for a second, and I'm thinking, it looks a bit like the thing I saw yesterday. But then just for a second, and then I think no, I mean this is not something from real life.
No,
just
probably not.
People with a good imagination. But this acid, I think I have this. I probably have this. Imagine I have this thing to take samples. This kind of these glass tubes with these plastic things on that I can suck up something with, and I think I do that. I try to do that with the liquid.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so Alan, what else is down there? What you wouldn't expect?
In my mind's eye, there's a lift that has taken him down a certain distance, and then there's a spiral staircase going down a little further, and that's where he's got to and found this damage. And the rig is always, because it's impossible to keep it out, there's always some water sloshing about in the bottom. And so as he looks over, he can see that the water is sloshing about. It has a strangely oily consistency.
Yeah, and I think I look at the damage, and I look like down at the water, and I think for a second that like I don't really want to go down there, but then I catch myself thinking that again, and I think like, no, Peter, remember why you're there, why you're here. And I do like take my welding equipment and like set it up so that I'm ready when I come up, like just to build up the courage while I build up the courage, and then I just like start walking down the stairs to like look at what's in the bottom.
And it isn't like a layer of oil, but the water is moving strangely, and in the light of your headlamp, it's throwing back some peculiar reflections. A little the way that oil does when it's dripped on water, but not quite like that.
Yeah, I think I like look at it for a second, and I see my reflection in it. But I mean, it isn't oil. I know how an oil leak looks. And I look at it for a little bit more, and then I like, oh no, I gotta go fix that thing.
Yeah, you've got to go fix the damage. But the oil on this water, that's not the kind of crude oil the rig gets up from the ground. It's more like some other oil, maybe. It's not black, for one thing. It's just kind of translucent.
Yeah, I think I take in that case, like if it looks like this actually is like a alien substance down there, that's not water. I think like I take this like small test pipe, like for some small to get a sample of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I take some gloves on. I mean, I have some gloves with me, and I take a small like sample of the water. I try to at least.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think you do. Do you think, Paul, that something happens that would keep him from taking that?
No. How about he hears a sort of a muffled version of the sounds he heard last night, as if it's on the outside of the pipes?
Yeah. I like that.
Because you're below sea level now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think like when I thought about the movements of Peter until now, it's been like pretty like slow and meticulous, even though I am nervous. But I think like hearing that sound like immediately like takes the seals the small container with the sample, and there's like half doesn't run, because you're not supposed to run on the stairwell if you fall. I mean, even if you have a rope that secures you, it's not very good. And also I'm very close to the bottom, so it's still a little dangerous. And like go up to the welding equipment and like start frantically getting my stuff and like start doing the operation that I'm actually here to do.
Yeah, cool. So you repair whatever there is to be repaired. That strange damage, you can't even say what that is, like it's acid or something that gnawed on this metal bar even, but that can't be. So it's probably some acid or something, maybe this oil thing, who knows. But you can repair it, and as you come up, somebody's watching you. Paul, who's that?
I think it's a guy called Rick Fuller. He's the supervisor.
Oh, okay. He's the guy who ordered you down there, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
he's been on the rig for, you know, he's been there for a long time. You know, he's a local that was there when the rig was first built. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just like look over to him and say like, I fixed it, boss. Still on time for my shift.
Well done. Well done. So get off. You can go now. You don't have even overtime.
Yeah, and I think he doesn't have to ask me twice about that, and I just like I go off pretty like quickly.
Yeah, but he's still watching you. Like maybe he's suspicious or something. It's not really suspicion, but there's something weirdly. There's something weird about that guy.
I'm not sure like if I completely notice until like afterwards.
Okay.
When I think about it, because I'm already so caught up in my own thoughts, and then I just like I think when you see see me like going off the rig, I think I think about it like, oh, he was watching me. That was a little strange.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll cut the scene here, I think.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I think we'll have like a small break. No.
We could do the last scene of the first act and then have a break.
Sure, we could also do that if you're ready to go for another scene.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'll have to write down the clue, and the clue is the weird oil, and the supervisor acting strange. So that's 2 clues, but hey.
That's fine. I mean, to be fair, the oil was just an added flavor from the watcher.
It's true, but it tracks well with the weird. Then let's say weird damage. The weird damage.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Another thing, it's not another like small thing to keep in mind is that when you're narrating, don't say what the witness is thinking or feeling, because that's the witness job. It's easy to forget. So I just noticed that we have been doing that a little bit. So I just thought I would say. Cool. So, and now it's my scene again. Well, there's plenty of things to. I mean, okay, I also need to speculate a little bit. Let's see. Look at my speculations. And what with the oil thing? How does that fit in?
I have an idea about that.
Yeah, I'm also in an idea. Let's see.
Oh, also, what I'm going to do is I'm playing my card.
Oh,
I've got an object dart, so I may play this after a scene that included a mysterious or unpleasant sculpture, painting, or other piece of art, and I'll declare that this is this graffiti thing that you saw.
Cool. Yeah, sure. And what? Yeah, you can. Let's see. I'm just gonna really quick look at rules for the cards, because they were not. I wasn't entirely clear on that earlier. Let's see here. Yeah. So. So what does your card say that happens?
Nothing until we're in part 2. But I can just say this is the strange or unpleasant painting or piece of art, and in part 2, then we can have I'm inexplicable occurrences or blasphemous things or stuff like that.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. So you have something to put in your scene for part 2. That's good. I have an idea for a scene. Yeah, and Alon, you're playing the witness again.
Yeah.
I think. Let's see at my locations. Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna not stick to the locations for this. I think you're in your like where you stay. So and that's like pretty much it's a very like small area. It's in a container, and it's probably like only like half a container. There's someone else living in the other half. So it's like it's pretty much like a bed and like a small table and a chair, maybe. It's not a stove, but like this, the one you can just like this two small heating things where you can
Plates,
put
heating plates, something like that.
Yeah.
where you can cook things if you want to. And I think you have gotten back this. You have sent some samples. So this is like maybe like a week, one and a half week later. I don't think there has been. There hasn't been any like strange things happening since that. So you had some time to cool off after that very intense day just described. And I think you've gotten back your like samples, and you have like this like big padded envelope from the lab. I think it's called St. Mary's Laboratory or something like that. Located in like London, probably something. And they've been, I mean, 10 days is very quick to get your samples back. So it's a little strange. You're very like excited about getting the samples back and seeing what the tests show. And I think it's I'm gonna say it's in the evening, after work. It's a rainy day outside, and there's like it's windy, and you can like hear the rain like hitting the window because it's like raining sideways, pretty much. It's yeah. So what do you do?
I read the analysis. I'm not sure I'm qualified to understand it all, but I wanna find out what it tells me.
Yeah, I think so. So what you sent was the oil substance and the thing from the acidic thing, and I think the results the one with the acid, it says it's like an unknown substance. Like it has like a small explanation next to it, which says something like it doesn't. They can't, like, it's impossible. Even after many tries, it has been impossible for us to be able to separate the substance into like its individual parts. It's very we have never seen a thing like it.
It's
Yeah.
a complex chemical.
Yeah, they have never seen like something like that in like nature before, like this. It's surely not a natural substance.
Okay.
And for the like oil-like substance, I think um, there is some like explanation to what kind of fluid it is in like a chemist language. You probably don't understand that, but it says under that this is a substance that's has sometimes been found in is usually to be found in like mines and stuff like that. I think like nickel mines.
Right. Right.
It's like a waste substance of like an extraction process of metal,
Right.
which I mean doesn't make completely sense.
Given what I know, given what Peter knows about welding and the properties of metal, is it possible that, given that the damage, the acid inverted commas damage, some of that material might have fallen into the water? Could he rationalize it as being just seawater contaminated with some of the metal flakes that have come off that that reinforcing strut?
I think like I guess you could, but it seems highly unlikely.
Right, because you mentioned nickel, and I'm guessing that's not standard construction metal material. Okay. Well, does it suggest that any of these materials are toxic?
I mean, it does say about the about the acid. It seems. Yeah. The acid is highly. I mean, it's an acid. If you put it in nature, it's going to erode things just like it did. So it's definitely like toxic. Yeah.
But there's nothing in the report to connect either of these materials to any kind of tumor-causing condition, going all the way back to my friend Dave Griffin and his unusual tumor removal.
I think like probably this is something that you thought to mention when you sent the sample to them, and it says like no, there's no as far as they know like unless like something like this was in the drinking water, possibly, but just being close to it or touching it is not something that's known to do that.
And the acid, because we keep talking about the acid, it's principally a corrosive material.
I mean, they can't say, but it is corrosive because it's an unknown. It's an alien substance that they can't really decipher.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure that I've got much else to do with this scene unless you throw something else at me.
How is Peter? What is Peter thinking about this?
Peter's really confused because he was pretty convinced that this was about poisoning the environment, and now he's got this strange stuff back. You know, his work with Greenpeace tells him that there are well-known derivatives of the oil industry which are often dangerous to the environment. and he thought he'd tracked one down that was causing a tumor in the workforce, and now it doesn't seem like that holds water at all. And so he's really confused, and he's wrestling with trying to rationalize or that rational argument of what was going on. And then there's all this strange shit in the sea, this horribly rotting algal smell. Maybe he needs to find the algae. He's at the minute confused because he thought he knew what that report would say, and it doesn't say any of that. And he's focusing on the word alien.
Yeah.
To the point of fixation.
Yeah, and I think that's we end the scene like with the camera like panning up from Peter's view, like looking at him from above, from the roof, almost like there's something watching him.
Could I add a little thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, just as you're sort of so you've got these results in one hand and you've got the jiffy bag in your left. You possibly think the other end of the jiffy bag looks as if it's, now you look at it, it's been opened and resealed.
Oh my goodness me. Yes. Now. Then the rational argument still flies. They just got to it first.
Cool, I like that. So let's do some changing on to jumping our conclusions, and then we can take a break. I'm gonna say we can take a good break and be back at 00 o'clock.
Yeah.
So at the hour.
Yeah, on the hour.
Yeah.
Fine.
Are we all in the same time zone? I'm confused.
I don't think you'll be British time zone, but I mean, I could be mistaken.
No, that's 1 hour difference, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for us, it's coming up for 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay. For me, it's coming up on 9. So.
Okay.
Almost.
So we'll be.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got no Finns here because it would be an hour later for them.
Oh well.
Okay.
See you in 12.
See you.
See you.
12,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. So we're back. Now we go into part 2. For the most part, part 2 is has most of the same rules as part 1. They are all investigation scenes. They are have the same rules with the creeping horror part, where you're not narrating things that are out of the ordinary, or like that. The same rules that we had before. Well, out of the ordinary is not true, but something that's blatantly supernatural. That is unless you play one of your cards, which is like the main difference in how we narrate things here, is that you can use, if you have your card has triggered, then you can break the rules. For a lot of the cards, they are from Act 2 onward, so they allow you to do things you otherwise wouldn't. What else is different here is that we're now starting to go towards the Journey of Darkness, which is like the last scene. And that scene will take us somewhere where we'll find the final horror. So keep that in mind when that we're narrating towards that. At any point during, if a narrator can decide on their turn to in any scene during part 2 to start narrating towards this place if they want, and then we go into Act 3. If not, we will play the 3 scenes, and then we'll go into, at latest, go into Act 3 then. Also, a third option is that after we play the scene, and if we feel that it's natural that we start a journey at that point, we can also do it then. If you feel like at any point that might be the case, then just say so, and we can discuss it around the table. Other than that, we're doing the same thing that we have been doing with witness and narrator and watcher, the same turn. Is there any questions?
Nope.
Cool. So that means that you are narrating now, Alun, and Paul, you are the witness.
Okay. The location is the path out towards Peter's Rock Lighthouse.
Yeah.
And I think probably to clear his head, Peter has got out into the fresh air. It's still raining heavily. It's dark, so he's making his way by torchlight. And he makes his way around to the same spot from where he observed a couple of weeks ago that thrashing about in the sea. And he's staring out the sea. And then, "What are you doing here, boy?" says a voice from behind him.
Okay. You know, I'm an ex-combat veteran. I don't really expect people to sneak up on me. So this has clearly caught me unaware. So I'll quickly spin round. And what do I see?
The torchlight reflects off a dark sou'wester.
Yep.
One of those old fore and aft hats
Yep.
that kind of come down to here.
Yep.
And a great bushy white beard with a pipe stuck in the corner, turned upside down to protect it from the rain.
Okay. Is this sort of like a top lip nice and yellowed? You know,
Yes.
with the nicotine?
Heavily nicotined.
Yeah.
What are you doing out here in the rain, boy?
Oh, sorry, sir. I was just out for an evening stroll towards the town.
You'll catch your death. Come away and have a dram.
Well, an invite for a drink. Yes, thank you. I'll definitely clearly I'm not used to being approached by locals, so I'm going to again survey the situation, make sure this isn't a sort of an ambush. Maybe I'm going to have a quick think back to my time in the Falklands, but it doesn't seem like that, does it? No, it seems genuine.
Not at all. It seems genuine, and he's gesturing back towards the lighthouse keeper's cottage.
Okay. But I was up there. That was empty a few weeks back.
You never investigated, I think.
No, that's true. I never went in, but the glass was all smashed. Yeah, it's a cold night. I'll accept this gracious hospitality, and I will follow. I'll let him lead because I don't know where I'm going.
The reason that it does look deserted is that it is deserted, but there's a doorway from the back of the cottage into the base of the lighthouse.
Okay,
and it's through that door that he takes you, and on the ground floor of the lighthouse, he lives there. There's a low cot in the corner. There's an old hearth with a pot bubbling over it, and simple materials. You would take him to be a tramp, I guess, but he does look like he's settled here.
Okay, so sort of more like an old person with very little possessions. Yeah. So he's settled. He clearly isn't a vagrant, and he is Scottish.
Oh, aye.
Okay. I'll. Does he offer me a seat? Is there a seat?
There is. There's a stool and the bed. He sits on the bed. He offers you the stool, and he gets an unlabeled bottle from beneath the bed and pours into 2 tin cups. A splash of what, when you get it, obviously smells of alcohol.
Okay. At least it's not an area later that I'm drinking out of.
No, it certainly isn't.
Does it look like whiskey, or is it more like a grain type spirit?
It smells like whiskey.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I'd expect from a Scotsman. So I'll toast him to his health and generosity.
You're welcome, boy. What's your name?
My name's Peter, and yours?
Jock.
Jock
McBride.
Jock McBride. And are you a local, Jock?
Aye, born and bred.
Born and bred. So you were here before the oil came to Petershead?
Oh, aye, long before that.
And would you said has it had a good effect on the town? The oil?
That's like a disease.
Well, surely it's brought lots of money to the town.
Aye, money spent on sin.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
You say your name's Peter?
Peter, yeah, as in Peterhead.
Aye.
And Peter's Rock.
Aye. What's your second name?
Scott. But I'm not Scottish.
He goes very quiet and his jaw drops open.
I'll say, do you know a Scot? I've never been here before.
You say your name's Peter Scott.
Yeah, Peter Scott. Yeah, that's definitely the name my mother gave me.
I've got something to show you.
Okay. Yeah, Jock. What do you got for me then?
Move yon bed away.
So how many beds are in here?
Just one.
Just
the one that he's
sat on.
He stood up and he's saying, "Move yon bed."
Okay, I'll grab the top of the headboard and I'll drag the head end of the bed away from the wall.
And it reveals an old wooden trapdoor, which he leans down and with all his might pulls up. And there's a spiral stair spiraling down.
And why is this important?
Go, lad.
And why is this important to me, Jock?
There's something down there you need to see.
Oh, okay. I'm very nervous at this stage because clearly this guy knows my name, and I've never met Jock McBride before. And to be honest, I don't really expect a trapdoor to be in a lighthouse on a cliff. It's a weird place. I've never heard of it myself, so I'm going to be pretty nervous here. But I'm going to get my torch and shine it down. And what can I smell?
You can smell algae and seaweed and the sea.
Okay, not a unusual smell. Okay, and what can I see with the torchlight?
And you can probably hear the
lapping
swish of water.
Okay, got you. Yeah, so I'm going to jump to the conclusion here that there's some underground sea entrance that possibly smugglers used in the past, that sort of thing. I've got no. This is only general knowledge. I don't know anything about smugglers, but I think Pete would know what I know. And yeah, I'd expect there to be a possible underground entrance. Clearly, if I can hear the sea.
Peter could be right.
Yeah. So shining my torch down, what can I see?
The stair spirals down. It seems to follow the foundations of the lighthouse. And you see it go down until it turns out of sight. So it spirals down, and you can only see to the point where it spirals out.
Okay. So I'm going to turn to Jock and say, how did you know that this is all for me? Why do I need to see this?
When you get down there, you'll see why Peter the Scot. I've been waiting.
Okay, so I've only got my torch. I want to really kind of take some kind of weapon down with me. But is there anything in this room that
there's a metal poker that he uses to.
I'm going to grab that and I'm going to say to him, just in case. Well, what's his sort of reply?
You'll no need that. Come, give me your torch.
Okay, I'll pass him the torch, and
go first.
Excellent. Yeah, that's. I'm a lot less nervous now because he's going to go first, and clearly, strength in numbers. So at a good distance without the poker, I'm going to follow Jock down these winding sort of. Are they slick with the sort of water?
I think they're probably damp but not wet.
Damp but not wet. Okay, so yeah, I'll clearly. Is there a banister?
No, there's just a wall running around the outside that you can kind of rest your hand on.
Okay, yeah, I'll follow him down, and he moves at a reasonable pace, does he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
clearly,
okay.
He's familiar with the stairs.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that for an old guy to. So yeah, I'm going to draw the conclusion that he's been up and down here a lot. So yeah, I'll nervously follow him, but at the speed he's moving, that's fine. I want to seem hospitable. Yeah, that seems fine.
And the last turn takes you into a natural cavern.
Okay.
Where the sea does indeed enter.
Yeah.
And you can see that currently it's quite low tide.
Yep.
So the water is quite low. And he swings the torch around onto the wall.
Yeah.
and shows you a series of crude but obviously of human creation wall paintings.
Okay. I'll say, Jock, are these wall paintings by Scotsmen from years past?
I didn't know. They were discovered when they built the lighthouse.
Okay. Yeah, I've got no mobile phone. Can't take a picture. Ooh. Yeah, I didn't come down with any writing instruments. I'm just going to spend a bit of time trying to memorize exactly what I can see here.
Okay. They are the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Appears to be of a man crucified upside down.
Okay.
And in one hand, there's what looks like a bunch of keys. And across the top of the cross is a cross like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I sort of get the look of it.
And circling it,
yeah,
are the same graffitis that you saw inside the foot of the rig.
Yeah, they were pretty weird graffitis. They were sort of like seal type creatures, but clearly
with a
weird.
Longer tail.
With a longer tail.
And they are
circling it. Okay, I'll ask Jock. I'll say, Jock, you've been in the lighthouse for some time. Have you ever heard strange sounds from the sea at night?
Why?
I've heard them as well, Jock. So what do you think they are?
Say in answer to that question.
I think you're still on mute, Sabine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Sorry. So Peter has asked Jock what he thinks the sounds he's heard out at sea are, and I'm curious what you think Jock's answer is.
Oh well, I think Jock will say sulkies.
Aha.
Looking for their skins.
I think that's exactly what Jock would say.
Selkies.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. As an Englishman, I would not have a clue what he's talking about. So I'm going to say, yeah. What's that, Jock? What are selkies? Seals. Is that Scottish for seals?
No, selkies are seal people who move between the sea and the land, but they need their skins to make the transition.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe stay off the whiskey.
Nickel, as Jock's torch dances about the cave, what else does Peter notice?
I think you can see like there's I mean you can't see a very like it's not a very detailed depiction of it, but you recognize like the color from that acidic substance from the rig several places in the picture, like small spots. You could think that it might be like like moss or something, but it's just, it seems weird that they're there, and also like it's the same color.
Okay. And Peter notices this, does he?
He does.
So I'll ask Jock. I said, well, okay, if they're Selkies, what are these spots?
I don't know.
Okay. I'll ask him if. Do you think in town there's a local that knows a bit more about Selkies?
I've never gone into town.
Okay. So how do you get your food and stuff, Jock? Your wee dram, your fish. How about other supplies? How do you get like your wee dram?
I know a lady.
Okay. And who is the lady, if you don't mind me asking?
A gentleman would not say.
Ah, okay. A fancy lady. That's a fair one, Jock. I seem quite amused at this because clearly I don't think Jock could have a fancy lady. He doesn't look it to me. Okay.
Now, unless anyone wants to take this any further, I want to wrap that up there by playing my anachronism card. Yeah, which says, play this card after any scene that included someone with strangely old-fashioned behavior or possessions, and in part 2, reveal ancient images that appear to depict a present-day person. Because as Peter is going back into town, his Catholic teaching, his boyhood Catholic teaching kicks in, and he recognizes that the image of someone crucified upside down, clutching a bunch of keys, is an image of Saint Peter. And that the cross above that resembles the Scottish Saltire, the Scottish flag.
Yeah. I get that. Okay.
So I guess my clue is that hang on. My clue is Peter the Scot has been pictured long ago. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. I love that scene.
That's great.
So, colleagues, jump to a conclusion.
Oh, well, now I have to modify mine.
I've been waiting for that.
Yeah, my conclusion completely changed now.
Yeah, mostly.
For the next scene, Paul will be the narrator and Sabine will be the witness. And we'll have maximum of one scene left after that.
Nice.
For this act, anyway.
Okay. I think the location for the scene is Princess Margaret Hospital in Petershead. and Peter is there, probably seeking treatment, actually, for some strange rash.
Oh, cool. I love a strange rash.
For a strange rash. So he's at this stage. He's in a because we said GPs work also out of these small community hospitals. So he's in a small clinic room, and it's quite a young GP, a fellow Englishman that is probably younger than Peter, and he clearly seems quite baffled with this rash, and he's asking you questions about how, have you come into contact with any corrosive or substance hazardous to health, that you think could have caused this?
Well, I work on the rig, so
A high chance, then. Have you tried any treatments yourself from the chemist?
Yeah, I took some aloe to it, but it doesn't really work.
Yeah, I think you're going to need a prescription for some hydrocortisone cream. I think would be a good treatment for that.
Could this be from something I drank? Some kind of allergic reaction?
It could be, but I'm as a doctor, I think probably skin contact with something. As you say, you work in the rig, so maybe something in the water, touch your skin.
Have you seen this before?
Yeah, we've had some people come from the rig before with various skin conditions.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's not unusual. And I think the GP tries to calm your suspicions at this stage. He goes, it's quite common for skin conditions on the rigs. Yeah, because there's a lot of metal, gets in cuts and in the skin, and you can easily have a reaction.
I wear protective clothes on the rig, so.
Yeah, but there's a lot of grease and it gets in the water that's sloshing about the deck.
Do you think that's healthy? That putting stuff like that in the water?
Well, I'm sure that the levels in the sea are very, very low. It's a bit like that fangled medicine that some people use, where they dilute little things into little things. That's not proper medicine. Yeah, and he tries to belay he's trying to sort of, his air of authority that he knows what he's talking about. Although you're getting, every now and then you clearly maybe sense that he's a bit young. He probably doesn't exactly, he's not got a lot of experience in the medical area.
Okay, but he's nervous, right?
Yeah, he does seem a little bit nervous about it, but he is trying to sort of comfort you and make you sort of, any suspicions you have, he's not, he's trying to sort of belay your fears.
So the oil rig company, they're paying your bills, right?
No, this is a National Health Service hospital.
Oh, okay.
This is a state hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so you're in the best hands. There's nothing better in the world than the British NHS. It's the best health service in the world.
Well, yes, I won't contest that at that point, because I don't know any other health services, but I'm not so sure.
Now, I think he's gonna. He said, "Do you mind if I take a sample and send it away for testing?"
I actually do, yes. I don't like being tested.
Okay, but I mean, if this is an outbreak of because people live in close conditions, it could be a communicable skin condition.
Excuse me, you just said it was something in the water that did this. How can this be communicable?
Well, you've heard of scabies. It could be scabies or ringworm, maybe.
But they're not.
Yeah, but well, people, have you been sleeping in any bedding that other people have used?
No.
Okay, so you haven't been hot bedding. Then probably it is just something that's in the conditions on the rig. He says, "I'll go get you a prescription."
Very nice. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy at all.
He does seem kind of slightly nervous.
Yeah.
And he gets
Can I add an observation?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's of course he's using paper notes, so he's making notes. And when you challenged him on the scabies, he kind of put his pad down where you could read it upside down. And in the margin, you can see two names. The first one is Terry Crick, and the second one is Dave Griffin.
Okay. Yeah. Nice, or not so nice, actually.
But he's got up now and he's left the room.
Yes, I'm trying to find something. Maybe look. It's his office, or is it just a general?
It's a consulting room. So,
yeah. Okay.
So there's a desk, his desk, his chair, chair for a patient, and also a bed for general observation.
So I try to go through his desk quickly, see if I can find anything, or if I can just grab something and put it in my, I don't know, under my jacket, just to take it away, something that interests me.
Yeah, you can easily get a handful of notes off his desk.
Cool.
Now, something you do notice while you're in here, rummaging his desk, is he said his name was John Fowler, but there's a medical certificate on the walls that he'd get when he's qualified as a doctor, and it doesn't say John Fowler on that.
Okay. Right.
So maybe it's not his office.
Well, I can ask him when he comes back.
Yeah, sure. You also, the windows ajar, and you get a very strong that smell sweeps outside the room, and some of it wafts in the room, and it's very, very pungent, but very short-lived.
Okay. Should try to find out where that smell comes from. Well, I sit back down and try to look like a patient.
Yep. A patient. Okay. John Fowler comes back in, and he's got a little dispensing bag, and he hands you the dispensing bag, and he says there's some hydrocortisone cream there, but if you wouldn't mind returning within a week, if the ailment continues, and I'll prescribe something stronger.
Well, sure. Thank you for helping me. Say, who is Dr. Joshua Overtree? And I look at the medical license, at the medical certificate.
He says that's the GP that normally uses the office. I'm a locum. I've only been brought in while he's on holiday.
Oh, I see. Well, then, well, good luck, Dr. Fowler.
Yeah, and again, you get that strong smell. Very quickly moves through the room and dissipates quite quickly.
I turn to him and ask him, "Do you smell that?"
No, I don't smell anything.
All right, then. Must have been my imagination.
Yes, maybe it's a hospital smell. That's
yes,
a cleaning solution.
Yeah, that's what it's probably.
Yeah, maybe I'm used to it because I work in a hospital. Yeah, maybe it's just because you're a patient, you can smell it.
Yeah, it's strongly possible. Yeah. So I wish him a good day, and then I'll go to the postal office and try to send off this hydrocortisone cream that he prescribed
Yep.
to me to my lab, because I don't trust this guy at all, and I think this is poison, and he's trying to make my condition worse.
You have a quick look at the cream in the bag. Yeah, it's labeled H45, which I think is standard hydrocortisone cream. Now, as you're exiting the hospital, again, you get this strong smell washes over you, but it passes it passes. It's a lot stronger, but for a shorter period of time. You sort of smell it for, and you smelt it before when you were down at the wharf, and you smelt it before when you were at the top of the cliffs.
Oh, I have to see where that is coming from, really.
Okay. I'm just going to see how many more. Is this the last investigation scene?
It's the second to last, I think.
Okay.
I mean, we can at any time make it the last investigation.
No, that's fine. So yeah, I think that's a good place to. Mikkel, unless you've got something to add about the smell and outside the hospital.
Yeah, no, I think it's like it's nothing about the smell, but it's like it's getting late, and I think like you see on the sky, there's like the sky is completely like clear. There's no no clouds or anything, and you can see like there's a full moon, so it's like really bright. And I think that's just what I wanted to add.
Okay. Yep, that sounds good.
Cool. What is the clue? The smell in the hospital?
Yeah, the strong smell from the hospital.
Yeah.
Conclusion jumping.
Yeah. Yeah. I have jumped to conclusions. This next scene, we have Sabine as the narrator, and I am playing the witness.
Nice.
And this is the last scene before we go into the last act. Either way, so you can either just make it an investigation scene, or you can lead it into the to looking for the thing, depending on what you feel like.
Yeah, I think I like to guide it into the end game.
Mm-hmm.
So, you had planned to follow that smell.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
Yes.
And it's not that easy at first, because it's always just this brief breeze with that smell on it. And you go about and go here and go there, and then it comes from there, and then you think it comes from there. Human is not a dog, and our noses are not that good at sniffing out stuff. But after a while, you are still not very far from the hospital. You notice on some rock that's on by the wayside, it's just some random looking rock. You notice that near the bottom of it, you notice this graffiti again. And for a second, you could have sworn that it moved. Just slightly. Waving the tail piece at you, like it's like a wink.
Yeah, I think I stop and I cock my head and I like look at it again. I think like I'm starting to become a little unsure if everything that I am sensing is actually real after what's been going on for the. I'm like trusting myself a little less. I'm like looking at it, and is it really?
Do you have the feeling like almost it's pointing somewhere with its tail, like it's maybe the direction of the hospital again?
I bend down and I like on my knees and I like look at it. I touch it with my fingers.
It's been etched into the rock like with some sort of acid. It's not moving though right now.
Well, my intuition tells me that it's pointing me somewhere. So, I mean, it seems silly that. Well, I think I better just follow it, because if not, I will just think about it all night and not be able to sleep. I'm just gonna follow it and see. I mean, surely nothing is there, but just for peace of mind.
Surely, yes. You follow the direction, and soon enough you draw nearer to the hospital, and then there is this is an old tower that was created there in the Middle Ages somewhere, and somebody etched another one of these little graffitis into that, and that seems to point into the same direction you're just walking, like it's giving you an additional push. I mean, you've been in Peter's head before. You never noticed these graffitos before.
Yeah, I mean, they're easy to ignore, I guess. It's not like I usually am looking for. Yeah, whatever it is that I'm looking for, I don't even. I think I'm just gonna. Yeah, I'm just gonna follow it.
All right. So, Alan, where do these little graffitos lead up, dear Peter? What is there? What is at the end of the way?
It leads to an outhouse at the back of the hospital grounds, inland from the hospital. Small outhouse, but it's peculiarly constructed, and it has a door with a padlock on it, but the padlock is currently off.
Yeah, I open the door and I look in. What do I see?
It's dark in there, and the smell is really strong from this place.
Yeah, I mean.
But you probably have your torch, right?
I do. Like it's like a small mag light.
Sure. Yeah, it's almost empty in there. It seems to be a storeroom or something like that. There are some broken medical beds or something in here. but also there is, and you feel almost like this is, like you've seen this before almost, a trapdoor. It's perfectly identical to the trapdoor in the lighthouse.
How close am I to the sea here?
Not that close, really.
Oh, that's strange.
Yes. What's also strange is that there's this graffito thing just right next to it.
I'm sure there's some kids trying to be funny.
Of course.
I think to myself, yeah, and I think, yeah, I stop and like look at the door for like a second, and it seems to me to be like a while thinking, almost like paralyzed in fear, and then also like thinking, but what do you think you're gonna find behind there? Like selkies? and I think I opened the trapdoor.
So what impressions does he get from beyond the trapdoor, Paul?
I think a lot of his senses are going to get bombarded. So he's going to get that acrid smell. He's also going to get the noise. He's going to get two distinct but different noises. He's going to get a mechanical sort of pumping sound, sort of quite rhythmical, but definitely machine based. And also, you can never go wrong with some chanting.
Yeah, and that's exactly the moment when you hear this, when the door behind you, through which you came in, slams shut, and somebody says, "Now we've got you." And he says it in a Scottish accent, which I can't imitate, but well. And I think this is the point where we can start the third, part 3, the journey into darkness.
I think so too.
I would like to play my special card.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is, let me get it, Eldritch Technology.
Whoa. Nice.
Yeah, it says play it after a scene that includes an object of unknown function. Now, that's based on the sound that you heard. Some sort of mechanical type sound.
Does it say what it does?
Onwards reveals inexplicable occurrences that only happen when the object is present, and reveals inexplicable effects that the object can cause when activated.
So, okay, so I'm going to explain how this next act is going to work, and then you can implement those things, surely. So, as we already kind of had a force majeure, which is like the thing that makes the witness get into this journey into darkness, we don't need that. So what we'll do is that pretty much the journey into darkness is one extended scene. How it works is that we will do one turn each, choosing either if you are playing the witness, or if you're the narrator, or if you're the watcher. And just describing like a short thing that's going on. This is describing the journey down to seeing what the final thing is. So we'll take turns doing that. If you're the witness, you're doing something about what they're thinking, about what's happening, what they're doing. If you're the narrator, you're telling a little bit of what's happening, like a small snippet. And if you are a watcher, you're elaborating on something that one of the previous people said. We will do that for, let's see, there's an amount of, I think that's until will do 12, at least 12, like at least orange parts of the journey, and then after, when we come down to the red one, you can always then take the narrator spot and describe the end of the journey. So what's at the end of the tunnel, or what's in describe what you see, and then we will go into the final scene of the game, which is describing the final horror. When describing that, whoever has an idea for it, we'll get to that. But whoever has an idea for what that is, and trying to doing our clues and see if we can find if someone has an idea for what that looks like.
So we go in order, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that is me first then, because you were narrator last.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think the person, you hear the voice saying that thing, and I think someone hits Peter pretty hard over the head. He doesn't faint, but he definitely is taken out a little bit, and he goes out for a little bit, and then he wakes up, and he's being dragged down this stairwell. I'm gonna stop there.
So it's me, isn't it? So
yep.
I'd like to be the witness for a little while. So Peter's sensation is confusion. He looks up at the person dragging him. There are probably two of them, but one of them is certainly Rick Fuller, the supervisor from the rig. And he looks up at him, and it's a confused melange of this thump, 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 thump of the mechanical machine, whatever mechanical is in the bowels of this, and the chanting, and he is scared shitless. He is frightened. That'll do me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to take. I'll take the role of the witness. So Peter's being dragged down these stairs by. Let me get the name. It was Rick Fuller, and the other guy is Jock McBride, both local people. Now, Peter can also see at the side of where he's being dragged down this hewn stone steps and wall. He can see these graffiti marks are also on the side of the wall as he's being dragged further and further down, as this rhythmical sound of machinery pumping gets louder and louder. And he can also see a crude version of the Cross of Scotland every now and then as he's going down the stairs. And I think he's going to cry out to both Jock and Rick to say, what's happening? What's happening? Why have you attacked me?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to
yeah.
move on. because we have to also do 12 of them. So
yeah, so I think I'll going to be the narrator for a bit. When Jock and Rick arrive with Peter at the bottom of the spiral staircase, you can see that there is a hollow or a cave. It's a cave, and it's man-made, apparently, hewn from the rock, but it's not very well man-made. It's not modern technology that made this cave. In this cave, there is a huge machine, and there are 7 people standing around. They are wearing robes, because that's kind of what cultists wear, and they all have a symbol cut into their forehead. It's the Scottish cross, and it's the upside down cross of Peter beneath it. In some of them, the scar is pretty fresh, and one of these people Peter recognizes, it's actually Terry Crick, who stares at him with empty eyes. That's my scene.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add detail to what you just described. I think you see like this machine. It seems a little old. It has like cogs, visible cogs on it, almost like it's something driven off
Steam powered.
Yes.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's everything. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
One of the other cultists raises his head, and you see that it's Dr. Fowler, and he is unwrapping a dissection kit. That'll do me.
Okay, I'll again play Peter the witness, and Peter's going to ask, you know, why is this happening to me? Why are you doing? Let me go, and he's going to start to struggle, and they don't reply to Peter, but they are talking between Jock and Rick, and it's not in English. I will put this out there to what does Peter think it is?
It's me. Oh, is it me or is it you?
No, it's me.
Oh,
I think I'm the one after
Sorry, I'm going the
Paul.
wrong way.
So yeah, sorry, but I think well, I think what am I going to do? I think I'm going to continue at this point with Peter's perspective. Peter thinks it may be Gaelic because he's maybe heard it spoken at one or the other time in the town. Most of the time he thought it was just some kind of thick Scottish accent, but Gaelic sounds a little bit different than Scottish. So they speak in Gaelic, or something that Peter thinks is Gaelic, and he's struggling, but they hold him down. There are 7 cultists and Rick and Jock, so he has little chance, though he has experience as a fighting man, and he was in the Falklands War, but he never experienced anything like this. He had his comrades in the war, and this is what he really, really wants, and he cries out for help at this point. He's a bit confused, maybe. He cries out for one of his friends, his comrades, and he cries that name, Andrews, help me. At that point, they all stop and look at him with a very weird expression on their face. And I'll give this one to Mikael.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play the narrator here. I think Rick, he stands like he was standing like on the opposite, like looking at him from in front of him, and like with this total expression when Peter starts crying out the name. I think like he looks to his well, comrades or whatever they are, and he takes like this. It's like a hood made out of some like animal skin. It's a little difficult to see in the dark. While Peter is struggling, he goes over and takes it on his head.
Just clarify, Mikkel, whose head does it end up on?
On Peter's head.
Is it a hood that kind of covers his face?
Yes.
There's a strong smell of that acrid sea algae inside the hood. Oh.
So you flicked it to me now, Alan, yeah?
I have.
Okay. I'm going to play the narrator here. And Dr. Fowler is going to be saying in possibly Gaelic to the fellow cultists, and they gather round this now hooded Peter, who clearly can't see what they're doing, but they all raise him up above their heads, and 4 of them carry him towards a carved stone. Yeah, I use the term altar because why not? But there's weird tubes connected from this steam machine to wrapped around various parts of this altar. Yeah, and they're chanting, but you can. Dr. Fowler is definitely giving some direction to this gang that's carrying Peter. And I will pass this on to Sabine.
Yes, I just have to unmute myself. Okay, so I think at that point, this is the last one, I guess. Yes, great. So I think at that point where Peter is blinded and tied to the altar, the last thing before somebody cuts him, the last thing he hears in the distance is that weird sound from the sea that he heard. And at this point, it doesn't sound sad or painful or melancholy. It sounds enraged.
I am muted. So for now, we can decide to unveil the final horror. That can either be an encounter with some kind of entity or a horrifying revelation. Whoever has a great idea for it can be a narrator for this scene, describing what this looks like, and we will use the witness, which primary role in this is just to be terrified, and the watchers as usual. Is there anyone who has an idea for what is it what this is?
I'm prepared to put this to you.
If there's anyone else, there's also a way to decide who gets to go. So if anyone wants to contest for it.
No. Let's hear what Alan's got to say.
Then go ahead.
Very curious.
So from the narrator point of view, then, so we're at the...
Yeah, so Paul is the witness.
We see them holding him down on the altar as Dr. Fowler makes a long incision from neck to groin, and then transverse incisions, and begins to peel back the skin.
I'm going to cry in pain at this, and also because I am a good Catholic lad, although somewhat lapsed, I will now start crying, God help me.
And as Fowler's bloody hands peel back the skin, it's revealed that the inside of the skin is slick, fine hair, smooth, and quite waterproof, you would imagine.
My inside of my skin.
Yes. So as it's peeled back, as gradually you are skinned, the inside of your skin is revealed to be a fine brown fur.
Okay. I take it this is very painful.
It's
excruciating.
Probably not as painful as you might objectively expect it to be.
Yeah, I thought that would have
Perhaps
hurt.
there's something about that smell in the hood.
Ah, got you.
Which when first described, I think Sabine described it as peculiarly attractive.
So I take it my vision is just down the length of my body.
Yes.
Because I am hooded. So I
Yes.
could just see these hands of Dr. Fowler peeling my skin back.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, I am going to shout out, God save me. Is my speech getting slurry at all? Or do I seem compes mentis?
Mikkel, what do we think? Is he still conscious and able to express himself, or is his voice changing in some way?
I think it's a strange sensation. I think you feel in one way like you're almost about to faint, but you can notice yourself saying something that you don't really understand.
To the observer, might he be speaking Gaelic?
Perhaps, but Peter doesn't know Gaelic.
As the skin is peeled away, as your human skin is peeled away, revealing this fine brown fur, Peter, as they work their way down his legs, peeling away his skin, it's where the skin is peeled away and his legs are together, they begin to fuse.
Oh, I will definitely start screaming at the top of my lungs, and I'm going to try and sort of like separate my feet by force, as in drive them apart. If this is what
They're
I can perceive is happening.
They're
Okay.
held together.
I'm going to try and push it against them and say, for the love of Christ, release me.
And in any Lovecraftian story, of course, your efforts fail miserably.
Okay.
And as finally the skin is torn from your feet, it's almost as though your toes unfurl, forming a webbed tail.
A webbed tail. Okay. That's pretty grotesque.
Yeah, that seems to me to be what was it called? The gruesome revelation or something like that? The horrifying revelation. Yeah, I think we
we got there.
Yeah.
And it then only remains for them to peel away your face to reveal the blunt muzzle of a Selkie.
Okay, so I was an unknown Selkie.
And I think at one point your screams turned into this baying you heard from the water.
Yeah. So I no longer can sort of make an English word. It becomes sort of just an animalistic sound.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Well, that's Lovecraftesque. I think regularly it would be an epilogue here, but I'm not sure if we have an epilogue for Peter here.
How about he's in the water a distance away from the coast, and he turns around to see just the small outline of the town, and in front of him, looming massively above him, is the oil rig. And he's down at the water level of the oil rig, looking back at the town.
Yeah.
At a very sort of sea level.
Yeah, I like that. Cool.
That's
Is there anyone else who wants to add something for an epilogue, or are we? Then I think I'm gonna say, wow, that was a good game, guys. Thanks for playing Lovecraftesque with me.
Well,
thank you for
suggesting it, Mikkel.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the scenes in this one, actually.
The conclusion was great too, though we never got to find out what the whole thing with the Peter of Scots and the whole machine was about. But we did. That happened when Peter was swimming away with the other seals.
Yeah, it's true. Oh well, it's a thing that happens in story games.
Yes.
We put out all the things and then.
Yeah, but I loved the ending. I really liked that.
Yeah.
No, that was great fun.
Yeah. I'm also very glad to have played with both you, Alun, and Paul. It was
thank you.
Well, I hope we play again, guys.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
And if you have any feedback or anything that you would like me to know in hindsight of the game, then just let me know either on Slack or Hangouts. My channels are always open if you have anything like you'd like to. Maybe that you would want me to know after the game for improving or whatever.
Well, I mean, I'm just really grateful you were prepared to facilitate, particularly as I've never played it before. So, what's the terminology? Many roses.
That's awesome.
A quick question about the leaping to conclusion. Now, we all wrote lots of different notes there, and we don't know what other people's notes are. What's the sort of mechanical sort of point to all that, Mikkel?
The point of doing that is to, I guess it's to try to kind of move towards a more unified picture of what's going on, so that when you're setting scenes, that you're moving in the same direction. I think that's the mechanical purpose of it. So, like, as people insert things into the fiction, you change what you think it is to
the story. Yeah.
I mean, the only similar game I've played is Fiasco, I think, and one of the problems with Fiasco is that you can get scenes coming in from all kinds of angles, which have no kind of basis in the previous story of them. So I think the idea of leaping to a conclusion, it allows you then to think, okay, well, that conclusion in a scene I'm either part of or watching, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking at one stage that there were two factions against each other. There was something happening with the acrid smell coming from land against something that was happening out at sea.
I had that feeling too for a while.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was some kind of fish eggs or something that had infected poor David.
Yeah.
in the first scene, but well, it wasn't that. But I liked the Sake idea. Okay, it was
Yeah, no, I was really. Selkies hadn't really occurred to me until you dropped them into Jock's conversation.
Well, it seemed rather natural with all these noises coming from the sea, and it had to be something that wasn't totally an alien kraken. I didn't imagine that.
No, brilliant. No, I think it's great fun, and you could play it again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just change the location, the genre, the era. That'd be fine.
Yeah, also, there is also like a pre-made things, but I mean, it's so easy to just drum up a thing, and I had zero ideas before going in, and it's very nice. It's actually like a very nice game to just run pretty spontaneously. If you know the rules, you can just like.
Yeah, I actually like the idea of making up your clues in the prepared scenarios. You get clues or suggestions for clues, but the one time I played that didn't work so well because these clues don't tie together all that well. And if you're feeling a bit stuck, you just take one of these clues, regardless of what had happened before. So well.
Yeah, I mean, because I've just stumbled on the inspiration tables, and I can see that it would be good to have them there as a safety net. But the idea, I think I'd find it very strange to have some pre-prepared. Which clue shall I play now?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering me and you never played it before, Alan, it seemed quite natural to come up with clues. Yeah, it was quite natural.
Yeah. You both were.
Thank you.
Yeah, top notch. I enjoyed playing with you, so I hope to see you in my games again.
Yeah.
Sure.
Likewise.
Have a nice evening. See you around.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye now.
Okay.